Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. President William Ruto attended a 100-year celebration of the Pentecostal Assemblies of God Church in Vihiga County, a tour that would also provide an opportunity for the head of state to give his account of what he has done for the people of Vihiga County. And in a rally that we're going to look at in Majengo, the rally only lasted for less than 20 minutes as the president walked through a hostile crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to look much more into this and the rally that never was, that didn't go through. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and like our videos. And thank you very much for supporting this podcast. Today, the 4th day of October, and we are closing our projects for September. In September, we had 2 projects. We took 4 students to school, Sigalagala Polytechnic. We had 1 Kisumu Polytechnic. We had a girl taken to Runyenjes, and we supported a boy who was in KMTC here in Nairobi. And then we headed straight to Nakuru to build a house for Mary. This is where that house has reached, and we are actually finishing up. What will still remain was just a bit of the finishing that is needed that will be done later on. But I want to say thank you very much for supporting those 2 projects that we did. And may God bless you for standing, or rather partnering with our foundation so that we can accomplish what we did in the month of September. I paid attention to the event that was held in Vihiga for some 4 reasons. And this is where the center of my expectation was centered around. The first observation, or rather the first reason why I followed it was in Vihiga. Guy, I think I have a problem with lights. That's why it's inakuja kienda. But kindly just bear with us. And started already shooting. The president to visit in Vihiga was coming a week after Natembeya coronation. Natembeya, some elders had already installed Natembeya as the lawyer spokesperson. And that event happened in Vihiga County. So I was very interested to follow up so that you see how they will navigate that space. The second reason was IBC registration. And I have been speaking about that I've not been seeing state players amplifying the messaging for Kenyans to go and register. And at this point, I will still take this time to urge you, guys, come out and register. You have been in the streets. You have been following what is not going on right, or what you think is not working. And it doesn't just apply to the national leaders, starting from your MCA, your MP, your governor, your senator. The only and the most available tool for you is vote, your voter's card. So IBC is conducting mass voter registration, and we're still urging you in this podcast. We decided that this podcast, we're going to use it to pass this information. No one is funding us. Guys, someone should not, I saw some people, hey, Kevin, who is funding for that? No. This podcast is the most informative podcast in this country. And that is why we are also urging you to make a step and register as a voter. I thank God that I've been asking you guys to send in those who you can record the comfort of your house and send me. I'm going to share it in this podcast like this one here.
Niaje majamaa, tumeanza kuchukua kura. Hope so. Na ni process rahisi sana. So, kitu unahitajika ni ID. No money, nothing. Ni ID peke yake. So, if you want change in leadership, or you want good leadership, please jitokeze uchukue kura. Ukichukua kura itakuwa sawa. Anyways, for graphic design services, printing and branding services. Hala me on 0791 20 8293. Pamoja tajenga Kenya. Na siri ni na
Hello, good morning. This message is to all the Gen Zs. You have been fighting and saying that you want change, and that is why you have been on the streets seeking, requesting, and asking for change. This is your time now. Go and register so that you can have an opportunity to cast that ballot when it comes in the year 2027, to speak in that ballot, to choose the leaders that you desire and the leaders that you want, so that you can be able to see that change that you have been fighting for. Your colleagues have died in the process of seeking and wanting that change. Please honor your colleagues by going to register so that you can cast that vote and speak.
And please support the Gen Z there. IBC registration and the by-election politics that is going on. But more importantly was I also wanted to see what President has done for the people of Vihiga. Now, throughout that rally, there's some three factors that played out. Number one, even before that, number one, the president donating 50 million for the pastors, for the PGN quarters.
Nafasi ya kutembea tembea si rahisi, lakini nawaomba mkipata nafasi kidogo, tafadhali munitembelee. Sijui Mungu atawapatia nafasi ama namna gani. So lakini wacha niwachie hapo na niseme Bishop, kwa hiyo ujenzi wako ya nyumba mimi nitakutumia milioni 50 ya kujenga hiyo nini. Ndio muendelee namna hiyo na Mungu atawajalia.
50 million. That's a huge donation though. What is your thinking about that? And the irony of all this is that there is no single project that the president has mentioned to complete apart from the Modasa affordable housing. Zile barabara zote alikuwa akienda akilaunch, I don't know what school there, MTC this and that. The water projects that were launched there, not even a single one is complete. Now, I want us to make some these observations. The first one is Osotsi Natembea clash on William Ruto's two-term. Osotsi Atuoli clash, not Natembea.
Karibu hapa baba, useme tu Chamge. Ama useme Mlembe, ile unajua. Acha aseme na hii.
Kwa kawaida nyinyi mnajua baba wenu wa boma kisha ongea watoto hamfai kusema mambo mengine, si namna hivyo? Lakini kwa ajili ya umri na tuko nyumbani, ni lazima niwaletee salamu zangu. Jamii zote sub clans za Western silimkalisha Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi kama kiongozi wao. Na mtu akishakalishwa kwa kiti na wazee wa jamii zote, mwingine hakalishwi kwa kiti kama mnenaji wa jamii, na huyo aliyekalishwa bado yuko mzima. Wale tuna njaa ya uongozi, tuende polepole, tuwe pamoja. Na pia mwisho, mnajua utaratibu wa Kenya. Rais tulimpa, rais wa kwanza alituondokea kama bado tunamsupport. Rais wa pili tulibadilisha katiba under IPPG, tukamuunga mkono another 10 years. Rais wetu wa tatu alimaliza miaka yake 10 kikatiba. Rais wa 4 pia amemaliza wakati wake miaka 10 kikatiba, na wewe hautakuwa tofauti na hizi mbio zako unazofanya. Ni lazima umalize utaratibu wa katiba ya miaka yako 2. Kwa hivyo mambo ya 2 term na nini sikusumbue. Hii imekuwa tradition and part of our culture that we must respect whoever has been elected to finish his 2 terms. Hiyo ni lazima tulie hivyo, na hivyo ni huwa namna hivyo. Nikimalizia, nataka kuhakikishia ndugu zetu, mimi chama changu ni KANU, na ndugu zetu wale wengine ambao wametusaidia, chama kinachoongozwa na shemeki yangu chama cha ODM, kuform ile broad based government. Saa hizi kuna maendeleo makubwa kule Nyanza ambayo inaendelea huko kwa ajili ya broad based. Vyeo tumepata katika huko Nyanza, watu wamechukua nafasi zao, na tuna able PS wako hapa, Your Excellency, kutoka huko Nyanza. Uwezo kutufanyia mambo mazuri, alafu tulete siasa ingine katikati, tutafikiria 2020, sijui 20 kufika 2027. Ukifanyia mtu kitu kizuri, ni lazima pia uwe mtu uko committed ya kwamba sisi tukifika 2027 tutakupropel for another 5 years. Ndio hiyo broad based government itakuwa inaendelea vizuri. Tusiogofye wale wengine wanataka kutujoin, Your Excellency. There are some whom I know they are joining us before next year. Mimi ni mzee, masikio yangu iko chini, najua tukifika January huko tutakuwa na the largest broad based government. Kwa hivyo tusilete uoga mwingine, tutafikiria huko. Ndugu yangu, kijana yangu, Senator Sot, usitutishe sisi.
We are asking you, Rais, hata sisi watu wa Vihiga County tunataka hii keki ya inchi tupate maendeleo, kwa sababu we have a feeling kwamba sisi watu wa Vihiga kwa maendeleo tumesahulika. Hiyo ndio mambo wananchi wameniuliza, na Bwana Cherajei, sisi baba ametuingiza ndani ya broad base. Ndio kwa maana mnaoniona hapa. Kama ingekuwa hivyo amungeniona hapa. Mnaniona kwa sababu baba amesema, na sisi kama ODM tumesema tutashirikiana na serikali ya UDA mpaka 2027. Tukifika pale 2027 na tuamue, baba aseme left, sisi tunaenda left. Akisema right, tunaenda right. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Ruto, hiyo mambo ya 2 term wewe ongea na baba polepole. Baba akikubali, mimi ndio nitakuwa mtu wa kwanza kusema 2 terms. Lakini akisema kando, pia tunaenda kando.
Osot was saying that the position of broad-based, that they are working together until 2027, but Atwoli sent a message, and I want to believe that in their preparation for this event, this is what Atwoli was supposed to say there. Atwoli is already sending a message to Raila Odinga that the cabinet slots that you've been given and perceived developments that have been given is a token of give and take, so that with that you are supposed to say 2 term. That is already a gift for you to support William Ruto's re-election. And I want you to look at it this way. Atwoli is the senior-most leader from Western who was there. So for him to deliver that message, that was William Ruto's message, clearly a message to Raila Odinga. And that confirms one of the things that I've been saying here, that not all are fine within the Odinga's space. I have that analysis coming your way later on in the night. That played out, and that's already sending a message about a worry that president have. I will also understand that there is an attempt to pitch Mudavadi as the Luhya spokesperson, and that came from Atwoli and Aladwa, saying, mutasikudanganya hawa watu wengine, the Luhya spokesperson is Mudavadi. So there is a fear of Natembeya, after Natembeya was installed as the Luhya king, the spokesperson, that him upstaging Musalia Mudavadi. Now, another interesting one is about incomplete projects. 3 years down the line, the president is still making pitch. Now he's saying about the economy is now stable. Now I'm starting you guys. The constructor is back on the street and is on the road and doing this and that. There is still a message of hii alikuwa anaongea akiwa kwa ground, akiongea na wale wenye sasa the congregants was attending. But the one I want you to pay attention to is the Majengo rally. The attendance of Majengo rally was even very poor. But maybe let's not look at the attendance. Even though, if you look at that attendance, the attendance was very poor. When the president's convoy drove to Majengo for that rally, not so many other leaders went to the president. Huko kulikuwa na watu wengi sana. Plus that Atoli, Osotsi, Jalango, and quite a number of so many leaders were there. But in the Majengo rally, the president went with Musalia Mudavadi, the two of them. And in that rally, it only lasted for 14 minutes. 14 minutes. And I'll tell you why. And Musalia Mudavadi did not address the group. But William Ruto was talking about the issue of roads, and heckling started. When he was talking about roads, but the people were reminding him about some stadium. But a more interesting thing is how he maneuvered his way around the stadium issue. Maybe you got to... First, I wanted to listen to the way it all happened about mpaka heckling kafanyika mpaka sasa mic yake kazimwa.
Tunaelewana? Lakini vile vile nyinyi mnajua tulikuwa na barabara nyingi hapa zilikuwa zimekwama. Na kwa sababu uchumi ilikuwa imekwama zaidi. Sasa nimekwamua uchumi, sasa nimekuja kukwamua mabarabara. Si ndio? Si mnajua uchumi ilikuwa inatembea kwa magoti. Dola ilikuwa imefika 167. Inflation ilikuwa imefika 9.6. Ile foreign exchange ilikuwa imesambaratika. Sasa nimerekebisha mambo. Nimefukuza wakora. Nimepanga mambo. Sasa tuko na pesa ya kuwajengea barabara. Ile barabara ya Mago kwenda mpaka huko Mululu kupitia Lusui, contractor alikuwa ametoroka, nimemrudisha, nimempatia pesa amalize hiyo barabara. Hii barabara ya kutoka Luanda huko Wemulabi kwenda mpaka Mbale ilikuwa imekwama, contractor alikuwa ametoroka, nimemrudisha na nimemwambia amalize hiyo barabara. Iko barabara ingine ilikuwa karibu inaletea sisi kisirani, inaitwa Kombewa Maseno. Nyinyi mko na hiyo habari? Watu wa Luanda walikuwa wananisumbua sana. Sasa mimi nimeambia watu wa Luanda ile kisirani sasa tumeisuluhisha. Na tunaleta contractor akuje ajenge. Si ndio? Kala acha maneno. Ama namna gani my friends? Si ndio anaoniuliza mambo ya stadium. Nitakujibu wewe, ngojea tu kidogo. Mos.
To that point, the microphone went off because it is normally hiyo microphone ya president hiyo ndio uchukua hiyo kelele. I know that's what people want to get. That microphone yanatumia hiyo ndio uchukua hiyo heckling. So that microphone was put off immediately. People started now demanding the issue of the stadium. They were actually shouting stadium. Now, after this, when the president was now responding to the issue of the stadium, you'll see how it came out like he was just trying to lie around it. Eti amejenga Talanta, amejenga Nyayo, amejenga Kasarani, sasa next ni sasa next ni yenyu ya Vihiga.
Sikizeni, Nyinyi mnajua nimejenga stadium ile Moi alianzisha, nimerekebisha, sasa inakaa international. Simuliona ile Kasarani iko sawa? Sasa mimi nakamilisha Nyayo Stadium. Alafu mimi najenga ingine inaitwa Talanta. Alafu ile inafuata ya hapa Vihiga. Kwani mlikuwa mnafikiri Vihiga itabaki nyuma? Wacheni nani. Sikizeni bwana. Shida mimi niko naye na nataka mnisikize vizuri. Hii mahali yenu ya Kidundu, si mnataka tujenge stadium? Ni eka ngapi? 3. Stadium inataka 10 acres. Si ndio? Sasa nimemwambia governor, na nimemwambia Kagesi huyu, na nimemwambia mbunge wa Luanda, na nimemwambia huyu Gimose, na nimemwambia huyu mwingine Clement Sloya, na nimeambia sasa Omwami Musalia Mudavadi waketi chini, si ndio? Wanitafutie ekari 10. Mimi niko tayari na milioni 700 ya kujengea nyinyi stadium. Mukipanga hiyo maneno next week muniletee. Sawa sawa? Tunaelewana my friends?
Na nimeweka 700 million and he's saying you need 10 acres to build a stadium. By the way, that should be verified. In one thing, while he's saying I have money, I don't know whether to build a stadium is 700 million. My guy, Talanta Stadium is in the tune of billions. I don't know which stadium I'm thinking 900 million, 700 million. But Talanta Stadium is also like a PPP. That stadium is talking about, of course, you can see there is a stadium in Siaya, there is a stadium in Homa Bay, yeah? Even though hizo zilianza kitambo sana. There is Bugungu. Hey, this light is really disturbing. There is Bugungu Stadium in Kakamega. But the reason why he's talking about that issue of stadium is he's creating a scenario where it cannot be done. We need 10 acres. Do you think you really need 10 acres for stadium? Sawa, kujenga stadium na nje yake. Does it need 10 acres? No. Is Kasarani 10 acres? And that is how we maneuvered the issue of lying around it. The rally at Majengo ended there. Now I want to explain why the Mulembe vote is very complex. Just looking at that Vihiga, that impromptu Vihiga event, Mulembe nation vote is very complex for president, and it can be seen there. Because you see the broad-based arrangement with Raila, I think plan A was to fatten Raila. And when you fatten Raila, when you have Raila, you will get Nyanza and Western all together in Raila. That is why it has to come out that if you wanted to give Oparanya cabinet slot, Oparanya has to be a donation from ODM. Okay? That was the initial plan. But the signal by Odinga that we are only supporting you until 2027, then we make a direction, does not sit comfortable with President Ruto, because what this means is this, that probably at 2027, if Odinga has Western and his Nyanza constituency, he can take whichever twist, we can make it take whichever corner, and you can listen to the people like Osotsi, themselves, they're not devoted to the broad-based politics. There is a big division within ODM. If you compare what Osotsi is saying and what I saw the other day, the way Opondo Kalonzo was almost, burning out in parliament defending President Ruto over Shah, you'll actually understand why the president is very uncomfortable with Raila as the route to Mulembe. Now, the Raila as the route to Mulembe is also under threat. And that brings me to the same reason. The emergence of Natembeya in swaying the opposition vote. Natembeya is talking, and his talking point is, we want to get to the national table, but we don't want to use Raila. In this message, this targeted messaging at the Luhya nation, disadvantages William Ruto. And that is why William Ruto does not sit pretty comfortable with the status on how he wants to lobby for the Mulembe vote. And lastly, you look at what Ruto would actually want to present for Luhya Nation. Apart from saying, people are still ingrained in the politics of so and so is our kingpin or our spokesperson. From where we are born, now things are changing by the Luhya Nation, things are changing. People are talking the real issues. President Ruto and Kenya Kwanza will still want to post as Mudavadi as the spokesperson, then Mudavadi vote for guys because Mudavadi is there. But the real question of what have you done for the people is not there. You've seen the issue of roads is still about tumerudisha contractor side, tumemlipa, ile itaendelea, still not so much. And when you are talking about roads, people are telling you about the stadium. Why? Because that is something they remember. Maybe you promised. And that is a very real feedback from wananchi, that you might come with the notes of what you've written, of what you want to tell them, what you want to promise them. But really sense, that is the real public participation. They're telling you about that stadium. Why? Because labda hiyo affordable housing unaongelea, hiyo maybe hata iwasaidii. You're talking about that road from there to there. They're sure that's going on, or that's not of impact to them. But an area like Vihiga, people demanding that stadium is a real feedback. And is got flat-footed. So you can get to say and say, nimejenga stadium. You want to take credit because imefanyika wakati tujimiako. You can say I've built some level 6. You can go to Homa Bay and say I've got no fish pie. I don't know the market. I don't know. And the whole thing, impaka amesema amejenga sasa soko, ameweka soko, and it comes out like it's money. But in real sense, that is the complexity with the Luhya vote. Thank you guys. Let's meet in the next.